You're watching the Motor City Mama Show, and I'm your host, Kara. Today we are at the MGR Troy Cinema for the opening of Finding Nicole, a true life story about domestic violence. I'm with Katie, who played Nicole Beverly. What did you do to prepare for this one?
Well, funny enough, every character is different. My preparation is always different, but with this one, it's playing a real life character. So for me, it was educating myself on the subject and learning a lot about Nicole, so that way I could be as true to her as I hope to be playing her.
Did you talk to any other domestic abuse victims?
You know what, I did. I talked to a few, and I also got in touch with a facility, oh my goodness, I don't know the word right now, but a home that helps with getting them into homes. And it was just, it blew me away at how this system really has to fix it. Like, we need to fix this. It's not doing well, and we need to stand together and do something about this, because it's not going to go away, and the band-aids that they try to put on the system are not helping. So yeah.
And it takes a strong woman to come forward and actually say something, because the system's against her.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't want to believe the woman. They just want to say that she's crazy or she's making things up.
And I think too, what a lot of people don't understand is the scenarios that when police get involved, the scenarios that these women are in, and how calm and collected these narcissistic men are, and how they could make the woman look like the perpetrator because they're so frazzled and in their emotions, and they haven't fully grasped themselves yet to be able to have a cohesive conversation. So it's things like this where the police need to be educated, but we also need to do our part in being able to identify who these people are, so that way we're not the ones saying, oh, I had no idea. I knew this guy, but I had no idea he was like this.
And narcissism in the courtroom does not mix.
Oh, no.
Because they're very slick, and they can make the woman seem crazy.
Oh, yes.
And so it's very difficult for women to overcome this. What was it like to play a woman that overcame all of this?
So, honestly, I was terrified, because I fortunately have not gone through this, but this is the closest you can go through it without going through it. And I knew that it would require a lot of energy, and I also knew too, it's a heavy subject, right? So it's not necessarily the best feeling.
Right.
And you're going through it, and you have to study and make sure that you get, because there's peaks and valleys, there's, highs and lows in the script, but there's also highs and lows in the character, and to know where she's at with what moment, because here's the deal, we see it as real life, but you have to be able to put it and make it real life.
Exactly.
So it's a lot.
Yes. So how did the role affect you emotionally? After the scenes?
Well, I will say, I did have a bit of a depression going through, but it wasn't that it was necessarily bad, because a lot of it was just because a lot was being put on me, but it was eye-opening, because it just made me realize that, I may have thought that I wasn't around it when I really was. I was fortunate not to have it in my family and in my home, but it was still going on around me, but I didn't know what to identify as the signs to know that it was going on around me. So that was the biggest thing. And with that though, I've been able to talk with people about this, so I know that it's all been for good.
I'm here with Mari B, who played Warren Beverly. So did this role change your understanding or perspective on domestic abuse?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
I think the main thing is that it just goes to show you can't see in somebody's house, and you really don't know what's going on. And on the outside, you might think things are picture perfect because maybe there's no scars, maybe they act right in public as as an act.
Right.
And then you see the little things that lead to what somebody may be going through, like in this case with Nicole's character, and of course Nicole Beverly, where for the sake of it could be shame and all the other issues that she may be experiencing, she hides it, and you would not know any better that that's what's going on. The children are exposed to some of these different things. So if anything, it just enlightened me to, you know, be as kind as possible to people, because you never know what somebody's going through. And the other aspect is continue just ask people, hey, are you okay? Like for real, like genuinely talk to people and show that empathy, because you might be that one person that's that trigger and they open up like, actually, I'm not okay.
Exactly.
And it pours out and go from there. Maybe you can be a blessing to help somebody get out of these things.
Right.
So that's the point.
Was it difficult to play this role?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was it difficult to play this role?
Oh,
I could imagine.
yeah, it was a challenge because I had to, well, for lack of a better term, what happens when you have dysfunction and you have trauma and it overpowers the love that you do have in yourself for the people you do care about? Because I truly do believe he cared about his family. The problem is the dysfunctions and those demons that he had was stronger than his love, and for him not doing what it takes to seek the help necessary to deal with whatever issues that led him to get to that place. So now everything is seen as attack, everything is seen as disrespect, everything is, you know, it's all about him in that aspect, in that negative. So instead of being empowered to deal with it in a more positive way, it's that feeling of power and control dealing in a negative way, and then it's just a bottomless pit. And I think that's where I had to go to be able to tell this story authentically and truthfully. So what happens if you remove the love and let those issues come to the surface and reign supreme? And that's how I had to play that.
Mm-hmm. Would you take another role like this again, with it being so challenging?
I would say maybe not to the magnitude of what we had to do, and I'll give an example of that. The most challenging scene, which you'll see if you haven't seen it yet, is there's a scene where he forces himself on her. And of course, as an actor, to tell that truthfully, you have to embody those different thoughts and feelings so the camera can capture that correctly. So after I left, well, first of all, when they yelled cut, because we were all there together making sure this is going to be a positive thing, you know, for Katie to feel supported and things of that nature. So when they yelled cut, I jumped off so fast that, you know, I sprained my ankle that night. I did. And then just having those feelings going home. So I drove all the way from the pier all the way to like Fraser, Michigan. And the way I felt to shake that off, right then I instantly decided, I was like, oh, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't want to feel like that. I realize there's nothing wrong with understanding your limitations as an actor.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that can attach to you, and you don't know how that can manifest into things that's not positive. So I learned that. So no, I would not do it to the magnitude of it.
Right. And you want to portray the actor correctly, or
right.
You want to portray the character correctly. But there's a fine line where you want to still have trust with your partner on screen.
Exactly.
So to decompress afterwards, did it take a while to come off of that character?
Not so much. The only reason why, the beautiful part for me is because I have a daughter. So we're like this. So the love I have for my daughter and being with her, you know, pretty much erases a lot of negative thoughts and feelings that I experience in my life. And for that helps with that too. I mean, it's just simple being around her or a hug or whatever like that. So that helped. Now, I couldn't imagine if it was just me, what would I have to do? And I thank God I don't have to find out what the answer would be to really shake that off or figure that out, you know, so.
I'm here with Harley, who's the director and producer of the film. So tell me what made you want to take on this role or this film?
So we met a long time ago at a Starbucks. My lawyer at the time, Bill DeBreff, who's since passed, connected us to because he helped Nicole. Nicole was contacted by Netflix about doing a documentary on I Am a Stalker, and her ex was not really wanting to do that. And Bill said, you know, you should really make a movie out of this, and I have somebody I want to connect you with. So I met with her at a Starbucks. And we sat down, and she was telling me everything that happened to her. And Bill didn't know, and she didn't know, that I was a kid that grew up in domestic violence. And I essentially have never said anything on this. And all of a sudden, it was time for me to speak on this. And her story was perfect. Bill and her both had already said they would love Katie to play Nicole, so it was just meant to be, I feel. Yeah.
So how emotionally difficult was this to film?
Very. So Lorna Clowney Robinson was our on-set therapist, and she's here today. But she was incredible. She helped the kids get through it. She helped our main cast get through some really difficult scene, and that was probably the hardest thing. Is to play this, you have to go through it to some degree. And Shamari and Katie were incredible, and they were willing to go there, which you'll see tonight. That they really put everything into it.
Yeah, I watched the movie last night, and it was very gut-wrenching to watch some of the scenes. How did the cast deal with those scenes afterwards? I know you said that you had therapists on set.
Yeah. So that was a big part. Also, for some of the more sensitive scenes, we had a girl crew for Katie when things were really tough. That they kind of huddled around her. So that we would be able to kind of take the edge off after a take, because this is very raw, very real. We've had a lot of victims say it's very triggering, but it's also therapeutical. So I think that's what we're aiming for, is to create change, and to do that you have to take them there, and our cast were just incredible at that.
So you're doing theatrical screenings around the country showing this film, and you're giving back to local shelters and things like that. So tell us a little bit about working with Enough Initiative.
Yeah, so the Enough Initiative has been fantastic. We're actually making another film on another true subject after this that we're planning on shooting in August. That is a story from the Enough Initiative, also on domestic violence. Because I grew up in this, I really feel like finally having a voice on this has been really special for me. I was the guy who was ashamed and embarrassed and didn't really engage. Nobody really knew about what was happening in my household, and I finally get to speak out on it. And Nicole has been, amazing at helping us get through and get to this. And I hope to partner with her for many more years and tell many more stories, and create a community and a movement for domestic violence victims to stand up together and to hopefully create a difference.
I am here with Nicole Beverly, who is the movie is about your life. What was it like to see your life on screen?
It's been very overwhelming and kind of cathartic to see the book, the movie come to life. At first it was really difficult, kind of an emotional roller coaster, but I'm really happy with the way things turned out.
What was it like to see certain scenes? Did it re-traumatize you?
The scenes with my children were the most probably impactful, and I would say re-traumatizing of all the scenes.
Mm-hmm. So I heard about your Enough Initiative, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Enough Initiative is a nonprofit organization, and we focus on teaching the red flags of dating violence to teenagers in high schools, and then we also do resilience retreats for victims and survivors of domestic violence.
Okay, so what does healing look like for you now?
Healing is a forever journey. It's not just a line that you cross and it's a finish line. It's ongoing. And I don't know if you ever really truly stop that journey.
So what would you say for someone that's going through domestic violence, but they're too afraid to speak up and be brave like you were?
I would say try to find resources on social media, groups you can connect with in that way, and also do some research on having a safety a plan in place if violence escalates so you can get out quickly.
I'm with Shantae, who played the prosecutor in Finding Nicole. Mm-hmm. So what was it like to prepare for this role? Did you talk to any attorneys to like...
Mm-hmm. Well, the blessing part about this is that there was a special already about this, the true story case. And so I watched the Chris Cuomo documentary on the case. And so that really helped me because I was able to see her for real life prosecutor, Robin, go through all of the motions. I was able to read the actual documents and everything like that. And I did hit up some people that I knew that was in law. And so the first process that I did go through. The next was also talking to Nicole and reading her book.
Right.
I made sure to have her book, and I read it, and that's what helped me take off with it. Yeah.
Was there any scenes in the movie in the courtroom that were difficult?
There was a lot of, there was a good number of scenes that was difficult. One of the main ones was I'm not trying to give a lot away, but there was a scene where the defense attorney and the judge you could tell that it was an obvious them trying to set us back from presenting our case. And that was difficult. It was more so difficult of knowing that this really did happen. And I felt so bad for Nicole, because I'm like, sometimes when people go through this, especially when it's the law, you want to put your hands up and say, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to do this anymore. So the fact that she kept going and kept pushing, I give her so much credit for that. But those things were difficult.
So what would your advice be for someone that is in a domestic abuse situation and doesn't want to have to face the courts, or they're too afraid to come forward?
I understand that you don't trust the system. I totally get it. I am a survivor, and I will say that going through the law part was a difficult moment, but you have to keep pushing to make change. In order for these laws to change, it has to be pushed. So if a great number continue to push, things are going to change. So again, and find your tribe, because you don't have to do this alone.
You have to have a support system.
You have to have a support system.
And you have to talk. You have to speak
You
up.
have to speak. You have to have that support system. And there are a lot of organizations that will be your support system. If you don't have family and friends that will support, get attached to an organization that will be your support system. And when they do, continue to push, because abusers love when their victims are silent. They love that. They love when they're afraid and they give up. But that's how they continue to abuse. So it has to be a pushback. So I promise you, I know that it is an uncomfortable and irritating experience. But keep pushing safely.
I am here with Tandrika, who is producer of the film. So tell us a little bit about working on this film and how it impacted you.
This is like a new venture for me. So I've done acting before, and I have a small part in the film, but the main part is being producer. So it's impacted me by learning this aspect of the industry, because I haven't done it as much before. And to have a film based on a true story is just really amazing, because to put yourself out there like that, like Nicole is doing, and mostly at a very trying part of her life, it's been amazing to see her bravery and to be a part of a film that brings awareness to domestic violence. So, yeah, it's changed the way I've seen things in a different.
Are these the kinds of films that you want to continue to work on, heartfelt, true stories?
I would. I think it brings a different aspect, because I've never done a film that's been a true story before. They've all been, fictional characters. So I would do it again. Yeah.
Hi. What was your name?
Leslie Machigian.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
so
you.
How are you involved as far as how do you know the people involved in the film?
Well, I'm actually here supporting today. It's a great cause. I'm looking forward to watching the film. I've been working with Harley and Katie for probably 2.5 years now. We just finished a film in, I want to say mid to end November, that I would say is probably going to be out in the fall. That one's Fathers. And so I'm excited about that one. I worked on Final Recovery that came out last week, or May 2nd. It came out May 2nd. So I worked with him on Final Recovery, worked with him on Fathers. So I'm excited for what the future brings. We've been quite the team.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
what have you worked on before?
Chasing Hope is probably my most proud, other than Fathers, which I just wrapped in November. Chasing Hope was phenomenal. Samuel Joshua directed that one, and that was fantastic. So I'm really proud of that one. That one came out in 2023. So that was my probably my biggest role that I had to this day. Yeah.
So have you seen this film yet?
I have not. I specifically waited to be here because I really wanted to feel the energy of the people around us and see kind of what everybody else was feeling.
Right.
And be in the moment. I didn't want to kind of, you know, at home it might be a little bit different than doing it here. So I thought it was really important to wait and watch here.
And it's such an important story to tell.
It's so important, and you just don't realize. A lot of people walk around very unaware, and it just does a disservice. When people don't recognize red flags, they don't recognize green flags then as well. You know, when you have someone good, it's like, okay, look at that, right? Because it could be, there are a lot of red flags to keep our eyes open for, and I think that this film, I haven't seen it yet, but I think this film is going to draw a lot of attention to those.
I agree. I'm here with Sally, who is Nicole's mom. So what do you think about your daughter for being so brave to put together this, write the book?
She amazes me all the time because not only does she survive, but she's helped so many people, and she's doing so much in the education part. So these kids learn at an early age the red flags, and they learn to respect each other. And she does all this while she's working full time as a therapist, and I don't know how she does it. She just keeps going and going and going. And if you will see how many survivors are here tonight helping her, they pass it along. And that's what's so powerful. It doesn't just stop with her. It goes on. All of those donations, those were all from survivors. And, you know, that's what I think the most proud is, how she's passed it on and it keeps going and going. That's the most important thing.
To take such a negative and turn it something positive and to help other people, I think that's the true testimony of being brave.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, because she could have just turned, you know how some people turn negative and if something bad happens to them, they end up there, you know. But no, she just picked up and said, I'm not going to live that way, and helping other people helped her heal too. So it's very important.
So what would you say to a domestic abuse survivor that's trying to get out of a situation?
Read Nicole's book.
Yeah, true story.
Now, what's neat about the book is it goes through all of her challenges, but then in the back it has things to do, like make copies of all the important papers, open your own bank account, all these practical things, and just you're better than that. You don't have to live that life. And that's the sad thing is so many women are not educated. They don't have jobs, and they don't have that self-esteem. And that's the sad thing. Those are the women really need to help.
Thank you for joining us today on the show. It was great to speak to some of the cast and some of the survivors and the director and producer on this movie. You need to check it out. Finding Nicole, available on YouTube and many other platforms.